I never thought my life would unravel while I was lying unconscious, surrounded by machines and the soft beeping of hospital monitors. One moment, I was driving home from a job site late at night, exhausted but proud of the life I had built. The next, I was hit by a delivery truck that ran a red light in the rain. My ribs shattered, my skull cracked, and everything went black. I slipped into a coma that would last for nearly 6 weeks. Everyone around me thought I might never wake up. Everyone, including my wife, Emily. Emily and I had been married for nearly 13 years. On the outside, we looked like a stable, loving couple. She worked part-time as a home organizer and spent the rest of her time managing our finances, something she had taken pride in since the early days of our relationship. I trusted her with everything. She had full access to our bank accounts, retirement plans, even my business savings. She said it made her feel secure, like we were a team, and I believed her. Until the coma. It's strange what your brain can do when you're unconscious. The world felt like a murky dream. Snippets of conversation, blurry lights, the sound of a nurse humming a tune, then silence again. But there was one day I remember so vividly, it still feels like a bad dream etched into my chest. I heard Emily's voice. Clear. Calm. Almost cold. She was sitting next to my bed talking on the phone. No, I already took care of it. I transferred the rest this morning, she said. I'm telling you, the doctors don't think he's coming back. This is just clean up now. Clean up. I was her husband, the man who had supported her through everything, from her mother's cancer diagnosis to her failed online business. I was the one who paid the bills, kept the house afloat, and made sure we never went to bed hungry. And here she was, talking about my life as if it were a broken appliance she could just discard. My mind couldn't scream, but my soul did. When I finally woke up weeks later, it wasn't to the warmth of her smile or the sound of her voice saying, "Thank God." She wasn't there. In fact, she hadn't visited in 10 days. According to the nurse, Emily had called the hospital to check my status, but that was it. No flowers, no balloons, no love, just absence. What I didn't know until days later was that during those long, silent weeks, Emily had executed her plan with disturbing efficiency. Our joint checking and savings accounts? Emptied. She even drained the emergency fund we'd spent years building. My business account? Cleared out under the guise of pending medical bills. She even convinced my second-in-command to transfer funds to cover legal fees. When I checked the transactions later, those fees had names like high-end spa resorts and boutique furniture shops. But she didn't stop there. She put our house on the market without telling me, listed it as a relocation sale, forged my signature in the listing documents, and scheduled a walkthrough with real estate agents while I was still unconscious. And the most insulting part? She moved a man into our home 2 weeks after my accident. Brian, a guy she had introduced to me as her financial planner friend who helped her manage our budgeting app. Turns out, Brian was a lot more than just a friend, but Emily, as clever and ruthless as she thought she was, forgot one very important detail. She didn't know everything. Months before the accident, I had started to get suspicious. She had grown distant. She took more solo trips, spent hours texting in corners, and always had a quick excuse when I asked where she was. I didn't accuse her. I didn't shout, but I started preparing, quietly. I opened a separate financial trust in my name only. Not a bank account, something more ironclad. I met with a lawyer and set up a living trust, placing key investments, properties, and assets under it. The lake cabin my grandfather left me, in the trust. My oldest stock holdings from my early 20s, in the trust. A precious metals portfolio and a hidden crypto wallet I'd never discussed with anyone, all secured. I even changed my life insurance beneficiary from Emily to my younger brother Mark, who had always stood by me. And because I'd seen enough shady things in the construction business, I made sure to use biometric protection and dual authentication. Emily couldn't touch a cent. She didn't even know it existed. As far as she knew, everything we had was shared and vulnerable. and she took full advantage of that, but my true safety net remained untouched and untouchable. The day my brother walked into my hospital room with a backpack full of documents, I finally saw the truth in its full, ugly shape. He had hired a private investigator at my request months ago when I started to feel something was wrong. What he found wasn't just cheating, it was fraud, manipulation, betrayal on a level I never imagined. My signature had been forged. My power of attorney had been misused. Emily had even filed for divorce while I was in the coma, citing abandonment due to medical incapacity, and attempting to claim sole ownership of everything. Our house, my truck, my business, even my dog, Max, but all of that would soon fall apart. Because I was awake. And she had no idea the war she was about to face. The first time Emily saw me after I woke up was in court. She walked in wearing a sleek, all-black designer outfit, mourning chic, as if still playing the grieving wife in public. Her face dropped when she saw me sitting upright, strong, alert, and very much alive at the plaintiff's table with my lawyer beside me. Her perfect little plan? Dead on arrival. The court hearing wasn't just about the forged divorce documents. It was also about theft, fraud, and a laundry list of other crimes. Because once I had woken up and seen what she had done, the money drained, my company compromised, our home nearly sold, and my signature fraudulently used, I went straight to the police and the bank fraud unit. My lawyer made sure we had a watertight case. Emily, who had always assumed I'd die quietly in that hospital bed, didn't think to cover her tracks. She had used the same devices, same login locations, even her own voice on phone calls authorizing transfers. There was no, maybe it was someone else. She had left a trail of digital fingerprints so wide it might as well have been a confession written in Sharpie. She tried to look surprised, then sad, then outraged, but it was too late. When the judge asked why she filed for divorce without any verified power of attorney or court approval for a medical incapacitation claim, she froze. Her lawyer stuttered through excuses saying she was misinformed or emotionally distraught, but the evidence didn't lie, and neither did the witness list. My brother, my nurse. The notary who testified that the signature on the home sale document didn't match mine. Even my second-in-command from work admitted, under oath, that Emily had pressured him to send her thousands from the business fund using my medical condition as leverage. Then came the knockout blow, the existence of the trust. The courtroom went silent when my attorney unveiled the trust fund documents. It wasn't just a bank account. It was a layered portfolio of hard assets, real estate, protected funds, and investment properties, including a small rental complex that Emily had no clue about. That rental property alone was generating more monthly income than our household used to live on. And because it had never been shared, filed jointly, or even co-mingled with marital funds, it was legally mine, untouchable, undisclosed by design. The judge looked at Emily and said, "It appears you targeted what you thought was the entirety of your husband's estate, but he, unlike you, took care to plan for the worst, including betrayal." She tried to weep. She tried to blame Brian, who, by the way, had disappeared once the charges started flying. I later found out he'd tried to forge a wire transfer and fled to another state. They eventually caught him. Coward. Emily was hit with felony charges for fraud, identity theft, and attempted real estate fraud. On top of that, the court awarded me full control over what remained of our marital assets, which was basically the convertible and a closet full of designer clothes she couldn't return. Her dreams of walking away with everything had turned into nightmares of walking into court in handcuffs. But it didn't end there. After the court ruled in my favor and denied her any alimony or claim to my trust, I filed a civil suit. Not for the money, I didn't need it. But for the message, for every moment she had whispered over my unconscious body, planning my financial funeral, I wanted her to understand that I remembered. I heard. And I would never forget. The media picked up the story eventually. Wife tries to steal husband's assets while in coma, but he wakes up with a secret weapon. Headlines like that don't die quietly. Neither did the reputation she worked so hard to craft on Instagram and Pinterest. Her organizing business? Gone. Her influencer deals? Canceled. Turns out, brands don't like working with women who steal from their comatose husbands. As for me, I rebuilt. Not just financially, but emotionally. I took Max, my dog, my best friend, and moved to the lake cabin that Emily didn't even know existed. I finally got the peace I never knew I was missing. It's funny, sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the push you need to truly live, to wake up, not just physically, but completely. Because here's the truth, the people who smile at your side while you're strong are easy to spot. It's the ones who scheme when you're at your weakest that reveal who they really are. Emily drained our accounts while I was in a coma. She thought I was out of the picture for good, but I was never gone.